Welcome to SoulRise Stories, where real people, real struggles, and real motivation come to life. Let's begin today's inspiring journey. In the small town of Fairview, a place where everyone knew each other's business, lived a 17-year-old boy named Alex Carter, whose dreams were far bigger than the streets he walked on every day. His family was poor. His father worked double shifts at a factory, and his mother cleaned offices at night, barely earning enough to cover rent and bills. But Alex always carried this fire inside him, a belief that he could do something extraordinary with his life, even though nobody around him shared that belief. In fact, most people, including his own classmates and even some relatives, often told him that he was aiming too high and that people like us don't get those chances. Alex wasn't just poor financially. He was poor in connections, poor in opportunities, and poor in the kind of encouragement that most kids take for granted. But he had one thing that no one could take away from him: his relentless will to prove them wrong. Every morning before school, he would run laps around the old high school track, not because he was training for a sport, but because he was training his mind to endure pain, to push past limits, to keep moving even when it hurt. He dreamed of becoming a professional athlete and one day starting a youth center for underprivileged kids like himself. But whenever he shared this dream, people laughed, shook their heads, or worse, told him straight to his face that he couldn't. His coach once pulled him aside and said, "Alex, you're good, but you're not scholarship good. Maybe focus on something more realistic." Those words cut deep, but instead of letting them break him, Alex turned them into fuel, whispering to himself late at night, "When everyone says you can't, you will." There were days when it seemed impossible. His shoes had holes in them. He trained in the biting cold with a torn sweatshirt, and sometimes he went to bed hungry. But he never skipped a workout, never skipped a morning run. One afternoon, after another rejection letter from a college he had applied to, Alex stood in his small, dimly lit bedroom staring at the peeling wallpaper and thought, maybe they're right. Maybe I can't do this. But then he remembered his mother's tired smile and the way his little sister looked at him like he was her hero, and something inside him snapped back into place. He decided he would try one more time, but this time he would go all in. He wrote a letter to the athletic director of a big state university, not begging for a spot, but telling his story, every struggle, every early morning, every setback, and attaching videos of his training that he had recorded on a borrowed phone. Weeks passed with no reply, until one day, while Alex was mopping floors at the grocery store to earn extra cash, his phone buzzed with an email notification. "We've reviewed your story and your training footage. We'd like to invite you for tryouts." His hands shook as he read the words over and over. The tryouts were in 3 weeks, and Alex knew this was his only shot. He doubled his training, waking up at 4 a.m., running in the snow, pushing his body until he collapsed, then getting up to do it again. His friends thought he was crazy, and even his father, who loved him dearly, warned him, "Son, I don't want you to get your hopes up too high." But Alex had already decided. His hopes were the only thing keeping him alive inside. The day of the tryouts arrived. The university's massive stadium felt overwhelming. The other athletes were taller, stronger, better equipped, wearing brand new gear, while Alex stood there in his faded sneakers and patched up track pants. But when the whistle blew, something inside him roared. He ran like his life depended on it, every step carrying the weight of every insult, every doubt, every moment someone told him he couldn't. His lungs burned, his legs screamed, but he didn't slow down. By the time he crossed the finish line, his vision was blurry, but he heard someone shout, "Who is this kid?" 2 weeks later, a letter arrived. Not only had he made the team, but he had earned a full scholarship. That night, Alex sat on his bed holding the letter, tears streaming down his face, knowing that the same people who said he couldn't would now see that he did. Years later, Alex became a state champion and opened that youth center he had dreamed about, filling it with kids who had been told, "You can T," and teaching them to believe they will. And if you're listening to this, remember, people will doubt you, laugh at you, and even try to talk you out of your own dreams, but their words are just noise. Your belief, your persistence, and your willingness to work harder than anyone else will be the reason you succeed when everyone says you can T. Like, share, and subscribe if you felt this story hit your heart. And remember, this is your time. Stay strong,